makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part.
So, there has been more drama from the online left this week than your average Mexican soap opera, and I should know because I'm Mexican. And it started with the current affairs debacle, which I already made a video about, and it has continued by this brewing scandal, if one can call it really a scandal, involving Hassan Piker buying a nearly 3 million Hollywood home. Now, Hassan Piker is one of the most well known commentators of the online left. I think he is the number one political commentator on Twitch, actually. So it would seem hypocritical that someone who stands for progressive values or even socialist values, which he uses a lot of socialist aesthetics in his own kind of online image, it would seem somewhat hypocritical for someone to, shell out that amount of money on a home. Except I find nothing wrong with this. And the reason why is that we must understand that the problem isn't so much wealth, but rather how that wealth is created. So let's look into the situation here. Let's dig deeper. So this is his home. And here's a bit of a backstory for those who don't know who he is. Born in New Jersey and raised in Turkey, Piker got his political commentating feet wet working for his uncle, Cenk Uygur, co-founder of the Young Turks, an LA-based left-wing online news and commentary channel that ranks as the longest-running news and politics show online. Piker created and hosted a couple of programs on the Young Turks, The Breakdown and Agitprop with Hasan Piker among them, before he left in early 2020 to focus on an independent career as a Twitch streamer. So basically, throughout his period of gainful employment, he has been an employee of the Young Turks. Probably didn't make a huge amount of money doing that, and then became a Twitch streamer. And let's see how much money he has been making on Twitch. So at least this article suggests, I don't know when it was published, but claims here he has 1.3 million followers on Twitch. It's actually 1.5 now. And 634K subscribers on YouTube. And all of this leads to a net worth of 1.5 to 2 million. Now, I think this is a bit inaccurate. I think they're confusing net worth, which would be your cumulative wealth, with how much he makes a year. This is actually what he makes probably on a yearly basis, because he doesn't seem like someone who has massive overheads in his business of streaming. So yeah. So here it estimates that he probably earns 1 to 1.5 million from Twitch alone, which I think is quite believable because Twitch is actually surprisingly profitable, like way more than YouTube. And he says that YouTube here, from his YouTube channel, he probably makes 300 to 400K per year. I think it would be much less, to be honest, because YouTube demonetizes a lot of political content. Dare I say, most political content. So I think the bulk of his income comes from Twitch. So that's how much he makes. And he's, from what I've heard, he's quite open about it. Like he's never shied away about disclosing his income or how much he's making on Twitter, which I think is very good for optics. And like I said, it's pretty easy to estimate how much people make on platforms like Twitch. So there's been no mystery of where the money comes from, and like I said, he hasn't exploited anyone. This is what he does. He sits on a freaking chair every day for a couple of hours, or for most of the day, I think. I'm not hugely into streaming, to be honest. I don't watch any streamers on a regular basis. I do see clips of what they post on YouTube later, so I have seen his stuff. I like him. Seems like a decent guy. And but yeah, look, this is his operation. He doesn't have an army of workers who he steals their surplus the surplus value of their labor to fill in his pocket like the average capitalist. Now, like I said, we need to judge wealth not in terms of the amount of wealth that someone has, but in terms of how they accumulated it. That is the single most important thing. And I wrote about this. Here's a snippet from my book, which involves J.K. Rowling. By peddling the notion that inequality is not central to human progress, Steven Pinker commits a number of argumentative fallacies. For starters, what matters is not the wealth of the super rich, but the mechanisms that made them so wealthy. Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, who he uses as an example of someone who became a billionaire by making other people, quote, better off through their enjoyment of her books, has certainly deserved her success and has not exploited anyone's labor in the process. It's not clear that Jeff Bezos, whose hundreds of thousands of Amazon warehouse workers toil in conditions more akin to beasts of burden, cannot claim the same, and it's worth pointing out that the great majority of billionaires have more in common with Bezos than Rowling in terms of how they made their money. So that is the point. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It's how that money was obtained. And if J.K. Rowling became a billionaire by selling Harry Potter books, by writing Harry Potter books, because even an author of that caliber gets a tiny bit of every sale in from any book. The majority of the income of the revenue from a book sale goes to the retailer and to the publisher. Authors get very little. If you buy a book in Britain, it's pretty much like £1 goes to the author. So yeah, you've deserved it. And well, he's been Twitter is a medium through which people seem to lose some of the basic human qualities of social interaction, including shame. And he's been getting a lot of flack he's been getting a lot of sarcastic support comments, which are quite funny. But he's also been getting a lot of flack from, holier than thou leftists who, like, this is a really good one. I don't know, man. It's flat out unethical to be profiting off socialism and buying yourself a $3 million home in a state that has one of the highest homelessness rates in the country. If you're mad, I find this to be gross and unprincipled behavior. I don't really care, lol. How deep. And, well, this is a person who has a Patreon, who calls themselves a socialist, supporter of Cuba, Venezuela, and China, and has a Patreon where the minimum membership level is $5 a month, where you get nothing, $10 a month, where you also get nothing, and $20 a month, where you get a shout out. So please, please, please spare me the hypocritical, holier than thou leftist posturing, which has been pretty much similar among other, a big segment of the left is incredibly hypocritical. If you're rich, it is in fact immoral to not donate a significant amount of your money to charity. No, it isn't. It's your money. The reasons that charity exists are because welfare states fail. In a country like the US, you have tons of charities because they're trying to make up for the lack of, social spending by the government. And here's a guy who's actually advocating on a daily basis for the policies that would make charities unnecessary. I dated a French girl many years ago, and she participated in a charity called Room to Read, which I think donated books and did other things for mostly like women's education or girls' education in poor countries. And she would always complain that the French chapter of Room to Read would always have much less level of donations than, say, the UK or the US chapters. And she said something that to this day I remember very well. She's like, well, the truth is that French people don't really have a culture of giving to charity because we expect the state to provide the things we need. Our charity is paying our taxes, and then we get everything in return. And that's true. In an ideal world, we should not need charities. So again, there is no. I do think that if you do have a lot of money to spare, yeah, you should donate just out of sheer moral. Find a cause that you like and give some money. But this idea that you have to donate a significant amount as if that was a requirement to be ideologically and morally consistent is bullshit. Bullshit. And then there's the other trolls like Destiny. Sorry, Destiny's friend. Because apparently he's been banned so many times from Twitter that he can't admit that it's him. Yeah, posting pictures of make the rich pay. Again, this is not incompatible. Not incompatible at all with buying a $3 million mansion. As long as he pays his taxes and he's advocating to pay more taxes, to be willing to pay more taxes. That's fine. And he says himself, if you're mad at me, tax the fuck out of people like me. Great. Which brings me to my second point, Jimmy Dore. Because Jimmy Dore also has a multi-million-dollar house in LA. And let me explain what I think is the difference between the two. Because the argument that I'm giving, justifying Hassan Piker's home, is directly applicable to Jimmy Dore in the sense that there is nothing wrong with Jimmy Dore owning a $2 million LA home at all. The problem is that Jimmy Dore isn't nearly as open about his way more luxurious lifestyle than he'd like to admit, because that would destroy his persona as some fighter, working class hero, which he always likes to pass himself as. And here's a snippet from a recent appearance on the Tucker Carlson show. This is how he describes himself.
They have Wikipedia putting smears on me that I can't get rid of. CNN's calling me. It's unbelievable what's going on. Just a comedian, a pothead comedian in his garage. What you can do when you want to tell the truth inside journalism.
A pothead comedian in his garage. Yeah, in the garage of a 1.9 million home. That's my problem with Jimmy. I don't think he's in any way transparent and in any way honest about the amount of money that he makes. And I'll be perfectly honest as well. I don't think that he makes that much money on YouTube. Because like I said, most YouTube videos that are political get demonetized. So I don't think he has close to, he has more subscribers than Hassan on YouTube. And if Hassan is making, according to this, 300, what was it? 300 to 400K a year on YouTube. Well, Jimmy Dore has slightly more than Hassan does. So we're still in that range, which I think is way overstated. I'm sorry, but that's not enough to buy a $2 million home. So I strongly suspect that Jimmy Dore is being funded from outside sources. I don't know who, but I find it really hard to think that someone whose entire career was basically an employee of the Young Turks, where I don't think he made that much money, and now is an independent YouTuber with, like I said, a platform that does not really like giving a lot of money to political content creators. And that's why so many political content creators have Patreons, because that's the way that they make up for the fact that the majority of their videos get demonetized, which I assume will happen to this channel at some point. So yeah, that is the difference. That is why I do think there is a degree of hypocrisy in Jimmy Dore versus Hassan, who has been much more open about how much he makes. And yeah, in a nutshell, congratulations, Hassan. I think this is well deserved. I think we should celebrate leftist content creators who make money and hopefully allow them to continue this venture, because this is a guy who's reaching out to an audience of 1.5 million people, potentially 1.5 million people on a daily basis for hours. and spreading leftist ideas. Like, how can we on the left complain about that? He's also a guy that doesn't get into, you know, these online dramas the way that Jimmy Dore does. You know, basically just trying to pit everyone against each other. No, that's not what he. Like I said, I think he's quite a decent guy. Very uncombative among his own people, which I think is a quality that a lot of leftists do not have. So there you go. That's all I had to say on this drama. And I just want to summarize the key point. The important thing is not how much wealth you have, it is how you obtained that wealth that really matters. That is the ultimate judge on whether this wealth is earned or not. So, on that note, if you like this video, please like, please share, please subscribe. Please help me build up this channel so that I too can buy a 2.7 million West Hollywood home. Not really, I probably would not want to live in LA. And if you want to make me money, because this channel is not monetized, buy my book. Link in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.